welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. And I just have to own, Dave, you look very nice. You look very fresh. I just got off an 11-hour flight to Newark and then took a 2-hour shuttle to Philly.
Did you take the boat bus? What kind of shuttle did you take?
No, this was like a tour, a recital tour. So it was like a nice, fancy van thing.
Yeah, you were with some cellist from Philly. I saw your picture.
Yeah, so I went to school. Now this is already boring. Everyone's already tuned out.
Well, the fact is you took a nice bus ride. That's what's really important.
Yeah, a glorified van ride after an 11-hour flight. And I think it's 4 in the morning. Okay.
It's been planes, trains, and automobiles, but anything for figure skating. Well, I had a nice relaxing weekend, but the weather was finally nice. It's been rainy for about 2 or 3 weeks with the hurricane and everything. So the sun came out and so did figure skating.
Oh, that's beautiful, Dave.
Yeah, it was a starry night. But let's get into it. Let's start with the ladies because we've all been waiting for it. It was finally the debut of the Kinnearums with Coach Aliona. And Jonathan, when we talked to Aliona, we talked to her a few minutes afterwards, and she kept reminding us, don't judge it by what happens early on. Give it time, be patient. So
it's legitimate. I mean, it's the same thing we're talking about with Yevgenia and Brian or Jason or whomever. Yeah. It's just anytime there's a new thing, we're well, that doesn't seem that different. It's well, it's been a couple months. You can't reverse suddenly everything you've been doing your whole life,
This did seem different. They've changed coaches, they've changed choreographers, and they've changed a lot of their transitions and their elements. I was talking to Deanna when she first got there, and Alexa and Chris were in a stroking class for a day. I don't know if they did that with Delilah, but that sounded new.
I think we have the answer to that question.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with the short program. So the costume is a lot of look. I actually like it, but I think that she shouldn't have fake flesh on the legs. If they could just do that with the black and the silver, it becomes too much. He has black pants and she has a lot going. It's a little distracting. Something is cool, yet off with it.
Yeah, I felt like I understood what they wanted, I think was totally different.
Yes,
and
so
they achieved that.
We saw them do Metallica once, but they've kind of been really schmaltzy, lovey-dovey the last 2 years. And now Aliona really has issues with their lines and she wants them to extend. And she told us this with straight arms and straight legs. And if you notice, from moment one in the choreography, it's all straight arm. So they're forcing them to learn how to do that. So...
And I see the effort, which I think is the biggest step. Other people we see that always talk about, this revolutionary new approach they're taking, and then it kind of just looks all like the same stuff. I was well, you are definitely giving us different. And the costumes seemed maybe cooler in concept. Maybe this isn't the final version of what we'll see.
I hope that this is not the final version. He looked good. I got his. Hers looked like it needed tweaking for me.
Yeah, that there's a better version of that same idea for her. It reminded me a bit of all those obscure East German and German pairs that were kind of really always placing the top 6 in the 80s, but we never talk about anymore. It was a page out of this nostalgic book. I mean, and in some
you are
elements,
giving backhanded compliment after backhanded compliment, Jonathan.
No. I truly, there was something pleasantly dated about it, in kind of a fun 80s way.
Did you used to watch Project Runway the first few seasons?
No, it's not my bag, those kinds of shows.
Oh, F you. All right, it was fun the first season. But they used to say things like, the concept was great. Or Heidi would be the execution was terrible. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. The concept,
and that's okay for now.
I really liked, actually, the concept. I'm sure people like the long more. I actually liked the concept of the short more because it was so different and you could tell challenging for them and unique. It caught your interest. Even though she was falling on the throw, triple flip, the concept was interesting to me.
Yeah.
I was intrigued.
And they're the only ones doing something like that. And they need that. I think.
Now, she looked really into it skating-wise. Her body movement is quite good. Like, she looks like she's really giving this an effort. And you could tell he's trying. He's a little stiff. So when they're doing some of the choreography and going left and right, he doesn't have the most movement training going on. You know, they did not do a lot of dance classes with Chris over the years.
But he's doing it.
He's doing it.
Yes, it can be done further or something, but the fact that he's doing it at all, and they gave him a lot of Tim LeDuc, kick up that leg before the jump moments, and I'll tell you what, he has nice extension when he does it. They did it in the short, like, I think 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And the first one, I was like, well, look at you. Look at what they're doing here. And then after that, it got a little arbitrary and a little less extended as the program went on. But I was... Very rarely has someone set out to do something totally different than what they have done and succeeded. So in that alone, I think this is a fun, successful outing that they're doing with these programs. It got a lot of backlash from some people. And maybe that's because obviously we saw
a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And the jumps are still a problem. But they have changed the technique and the pattern on the Salchow. I noticed it's a tighter pattern.
It's going to take time. And Aliona's not just doing that thing like when Roth was sometimes like, was too late. I mean, they're old now. What can I do? Aliona was just like, they're trying. It's just going to take a while for everything to really set in. And I thought a lot of their lifts looked
way harder.
Infinitely. Yes. Some of the handhold positions and some of the entrances and the one hand things. And in the short, the entrance, I was just like, wow, I am looking at you guys as innovative I would never have looked to them before for like cool lift entries. So,
the lift in the short, they do that cool, so she's in a stag position. It kind of bends and turns as he gets her up. And it looked like you weren't sure if he was going to get it up. Like, there was a little bit of a dip before it went up. And it was funny because a number of their elements, including their spins, which had different positions than we're usually seeing, I believe. I don't recall the one.
Oh, yeah.
Like behind the back and attitude.
I didn't know she can do anything, I think. But I didn't know he could do that. So,
look, when you're in hell, keep going, right? That's kind of what I thought this was. Moskvina would look. There are 2 schools of thought. If they were doing the same thing that they were doing last year, I would expect them to win this event with this field.
Right.
Given the number of changes, I think we can excuse the second place. But I think they obviously had the potential to win here, and I can understand the disappointment. I'm sure they would have liked to have had fewer mistakes. I think would have been ideal. But I think overall,
it transcends this one competition. It wasn't about placing at Nebelhorn, which I have to remind everyone every year just means foghorn. So the fact that there's like a foghorn trophy is like so odd. But it transcended winning a medal here, because even if they won a medal but they did all their old stuff, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Right?
It wouldn't matter because they wouldn't be getting anywhere. They wouldn't have the potential to grow. So they have put in a throw triple loop instead of, they used to do the Salchow and the flip. They're now doing the loop and the flip. The lifts are a lot more intricate. The jumps are a real struggle. They did do side-by-side whammers in the free skate.
Whammers, amazing.
They missed both jumps in the free. The short was scrappy on the jumps, missed the throw triple flip. The twist was great in the...
Well, it was so high in the long.
In the long, she landed on the wrong foot, if you noticed.
I was going to say, obviously, the ending of it wasn't ideal. But again, to me, the points of these competitions are just to like throw at the wall, see what sticks.
I was okay with this. Can we be honest? I don't love the long. I like the short very much. Yeah. The long is the safer singer-songwriter kind of vibe.
Correct. A bit monochromatic, where they were giving us such much more interesting stuff in the short.
Was anyone else getting Voloshajar in the dress from her? To me, it looks like Aliona was copying Tatiana. They've always had the weird similarities with each other. But and then it looks like, I believe that this trend is coming back where skating dresses look like they've been through a shredder. I noticed it's coming back. It was very 2009. It seems like or in like
It
early
helps show
2000s.
the speed, doesn't
Yes,
it?
and the wind, yeah. It looks like that's
Yeah.
coming back a little bit. I noticed that in her design. There's a lot of squat positions that Aliona was doing with Bruno, and I noticed
lot
that a
in the
lot.
free over and over again, and they're highlight moments when they
Mm-hmm.
come, so you really notice it each time. And I felt like it was overused just a little bit in the long. Yeah,
I thought that the choreography in the long was more interesting than we usually see from Alexa and Chris. Again, it can still be tweaked, and hopefully they'll still work with Benoit more in the future. And wow, now I'm getting his name. So points for me. Just like Alexa and Chris can evolve, so can I.
now, and they did that thing where they really do the back-to-back throws in the. Now, how do you have an opinion on that, or I wonder if there was a particular strategy for them?
We haven't seen how they train it, so it's interesting.
Yeah, because I remember like when Megan was trying those back-to-back quads for a while, it was important for her to do them back-to-back, and even Jeremy for a while, one season tried to do the triple axels back-to-back, but it didn't really end up.
You got to land the first one. That's the real key.
Yeah,
you know,
and ideally the second one.
Yes. But I mean, if you land the first, if you have if the timing gets off and then you get rushed or anything like that,
it would be harder to rebound.
Harder to rebound. Do the second one and set in time. Overall, I thought it was. I saw some promise. I'll be really curious to see how this looks at their Grand Prix events, and to get a better read on them. I would hope that they, in a couple of weeks, hard training, look more confident going in for the future. Alexa looked positively ticked, which I took as encouraging after the free skate, because that would mean that she expected them to do better than they did, which should mean that they're training okay, which, look, I thought that the long had more, it looked a little bit more polished, it looked a little bit more together than the short did, but I don't know, I'm interested in this short. So...
Yeah, the short says something, and a lot of people really weren't going for it that I was talking to, but really I liked it.
I don't always love Benoit's choreography. To me, it's like hit or miss. It depends on the skater, but I really like the opening. I really do, and they had a couple.
Yes, I thought it was very effective.
There was another transition with body shapes with lines that they were trying, and I thought that was kind of cool. So.
It holds your interest the whole time, that short program.
Yeah, I don't know if that position with Chris with the back attitude in the spin is going to last, but I'll be curious.
Again, difficult, because they were off with their unison a bit on the spins too, which really means they must have been out of their element kind of with this new stuff. Yeah.
But I have to tell you, the team that won, Efimova and Korovin, I mean, I mean, it was trite. It was banal. It was pedestrian. It was just. It was.
These are great words.
Expected. It was stereotypical of bad skating.
Formulaic.
Events.
Yeah, it was just kind of
formulaic in a way that in a not a positive way.
Right.
Not even in a way that was almost stereotypical of a dated skating event that you would see if they were to show it in a film. It looked like what was the name of the bad team that looked ridiculous in the Cutting Edge? That's kind of what I was getting from their program. I'm really done.
Yeah.
With the Fellini and all of that. I have to tell you, it's a real groan for me. Yes, they won because they had fewer mistakes. They did do side-by-side double axels. That's noted.
Do you remember what Elaine said to you about Rosalind Jones? Rosalind Jones, that's my friend from San Francisco.
I just remember that Elaine said that she was always the champion.
Well, Elaine was like, and if she won, it's because I let her, because I just wasn't focused, and I made the errors that allowed her to win. Yes. And which we love her for, but because she did it with like half a foot missing, so more power to you, Elaine. But that was this situation with Chris and Alexa. They were just finding their way, but now likewise, some people were like world medalists, and I was like, everybody calm down, because when you put these kind of like strange expectations on this team, you're setting them up.
They had potential for the future. Look, they did a triple Sal Euler, double Sal Cow. Maybe that could become a triple in the future, potentially. It was interesting, but I have to tell you, the moment is kind of Deanna and Nate for me here. Was another moment of intrigue. So they didn't get points for their last competition, so they were only really, preparing physically, mentally to go one event, but they were only 4 teams, so they wanted to get ISU points, so they just traveled and went to the next event unexpectedly. And I think when you're ready mentally to do it, and then it's probably less exhausting than when you're not expecting to do a second event and you've been...
Of course, yeah exactly. And you feel like...
even though it's the same, even though you were going to do the 2 events either way, and it's still tiring.
Right.
But... So they've had a problem throughout the season where overall it looks like they're getting better in terms of the jumps where they're not falling, but Nate's been popping, especially the first jump in the long. And I think it's happened 3 or 4 longs in a row since they've been doing the summer competitions. And did you see her in the kiss and cry? Just absolutely like how ticked she was. Which is why she's a good competitor overall, like why she's interesting and a driving force and moving forward. But it was... So your boy Nate said to Deanna, there was a lot to be happy about in the long. And Deanna, first of all, her cheeks could not be popping out more. And then she like had the rouge and she's sitting there like sucking in the lips, being like, and had a total like...
See, I had a totally different read on this entire situation. So
keep
going.
She confirmed it.
Okay. Because,
And it was after Jim was saying hello to, like, his girl,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And,
I gotcha.
And the small dog. That was hilarious. Like, just the difference in, like, Jim trying to be, like, pageanty, and then Nate trying to put a positive spin on it, and Deanna being like... Absolutely not.
It's when I first really was most taken with Alexa was in that kiss and cry at the 4 Continents in 2014 with Delilah when she was like, hey, not so bad. And she was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for keeping it real. I tend to get a very, and I said this last year, and even Jim came out of the woodwork to say that is not what's happening. I get an uncomfortable vibe from Nate that seems to dominate the dynamic of the pair. And I hope that your rendition is correct and that Deanna was strong and irritated. And
she wasn't speaking to him for several hours after the log.
Okay, but I hope that that's done with like strength and confidence. I don't know. For some reason, something about the whole situation just makes me want her to be okay. And I'm like, why don't you do singles, Deanna? Why not? Just
she could be okay too. Her triples could have been cleaner here. But I think when you're not sure how the partner is going to do and it can affect you. And look, I think that,
of course,
overall, I think that they look much better. Their lifts were particularly strong, especially in the free skate. They got a lot of +3s and +2s. I think they could get +4. I think if they... You know what? Elements start to impact things. I think when the judges only expect to have you in a certain corridor and they start to place you, I think scores can go down. Especially scores can go up when we see Zagitova's protocols. They were second in the long here. It could have been a real moment for them, and I think that's why they were both frustrated. And I just felt overall they did get one level 3 on a lift, but I thought overall that it was a stronger outing for them. I think it's getting there, but it's a little bit slower than we would hope. Like the competitive...
Yeah, and it's a bit... Sometimes when you're like, don't worry, it's a new pair, things will find itself. Yeah. But the clock is ticking a little bit. A little bit. So just us as people who I adore her, like I want her to do very well. I'm rooting for her.
Also, I love the people that are like, this, and I know that they mean it as a compliment and they don't necessarily understand, but when the adult skaters go, I love that Deanna could be as an adult skater in the 2 category with us, and here she is out competing, and you're like, you just called her old. Like, you legit just called her old. And, like, you don't...
Well, she's not that British pair skater who was, in a wheelchair or whatever. Could only eat soft foods and then cry. But it's a very cool story. She's a great athlete. She's a cool competitor. She's She's got a great personality. I just hope that she's still having fun. That's all
I think. Look, they're skating to Whitney.
You know her. I don't. I know her only from her social
I think
media
that they
presence.
need to. I think they will get better. They need to spend a lot of time talking it out with the sports psychologist, because I think that this is psychological for them at this point. They can clearly do the sows and the toes. Apparently, they don't miss in practice. So what is causing you not to hit in competition? I think you have to...
Yeah, and to pop is very different, and we would even talk about this a little with the Chris and Alexa jumping situation last season, knowing that there were factors that were causing those things, but a pop is very different than just accidentally falling or just kind of missing something about the landing. So, yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you that I would hope he...
I also wonder if... Sometimes Jim seems so tense to me, and I wonder how people respond to it before they get on the ice, because he seems like very ramrod straight standing. Like, to me, that doesn't necessarily inspire confidence, but
right. Well, I don't know about you, but like in moments, if you have to speak, perform, do whatever, I'm very susceptible to the energy around me.
Yeah.
And I have to distance myself from those that are too agitated or tight.
Jim could do a nice vodka shot or two before they go out there and really become animated and into it. He just seems tense to me. I don't like that kind of energy before I'm performing.
Right.
Well,
and I would think it would be so different for each person. But, kind of that, going back to that Frank Carroll of just like, well, you've always wanted to do it. Here you are. Great. Go have fun.
Yeah.
See ya. And I'm like,
that's
wow,
why I like Bella better than Marta. Even if he's a real... in the gym every day, when he goes out and he gives you that, like, Jonathan, you are going to do it. You're like...
You need that boost in that moment, yeah.
I would like that better than just worrying that Marta's claw hands were going to go in the back of my neck. Like, to me, that would be a little bit frightening. And maybe...
Like the mom at the mall, yeah.
That wouldn't be... So... I don't want to get myself...
And we'll talk about that when we get to Costa.
In the office, people have talked about... in one of my work situations, that sometimes I don't want to get myself in trouble. I think in general, when the emphasis is on not messing up rather than doing something well or creative, that is, you get into like a negative mindset and it holds you back.
I mean, it's total like 101, like performance psychology kind of stuff. It's like you have to focus on the things you will do.
Yes.
Like, and even if you're having trouble with your double axel, and instead of being like, don't do this, don't lean. Yes. It's like, well, why don't you think, do be over my blade, be over my blade.
Straight up and down. Yes.
Yeah. To think of something active to do instead of that immediate, like, don't XYZ. And I felt that what maybe happened a little bit with the Kosternaya double axel waxel.
Well, I would say that Terry gives off that energy of don't mess up constantly.
Yeah, but surprisingly, she, in spite of that, still has success.
Well, those girls seem like they... So we'll talk about... Let's move into Zagitova, because I think we've paired it out. I think that... Also, I think that Deanna and Nate could add a transition before the throw loop. It looks like something was taken out, and it looks kind of empty and circular there. Okay, also, the ladies, Zagitova. So, whatever the real story with the travel documents is, I think that extra week of training was heaven for her.
It helped. And they know what they're doing. And she's, you know what?
She did shows all summer. I believe that was a strategic decision. They didn't want to go up the same...
And she's allowed to make that decision.
Yes.
So what? If you needed that extra week, Olympic champion of crazy programs and tours and all this sort of stuff, take it. No big deal.
And they both looked rough at the test skates in the free. And it was probably smart for them not to go up the same weekend head-to-head, because everyone would be comparing scores.
Exactly.
Look, we would have been watching the same too.
It would have been the whole conversation.
Yeah.
It was a very smart move.
And I think that she got in better condition in a week. Who knows how many bottles of water Terry told her to drink or whatever, You've read the articles where they're... Yeah,
I know. I just hope it's lost in translation, but I fear it's not.
If you watch one of the rhythmic gymnastics documentaries about Irina Wiener,
that one was too traumatizing.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was camp.
But you know what changed my my whole view on Zagitova, because in the same way we were talking about Medvedeva has become such an icon of like Russian pride. So where is she? Training? It makes a difference. What IOC meeting is she at? It made a difference during the doping, conversations. And Shannon, our friend, said something when she was like, she said it must have been such a lonely Olympic win.
Yeah.
For Zagitova.
But now everyone is behind her. So you see how fleeting that is, that all of a sudden now Eteri loves her and Russia is really behind her. If you look at the comments, because they're anti Xenia. Yeah,
because she has become a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
Again, she did not defect.
No.
She is still representing Russia.
Yes.
But
although La said something interesting this week. When watching, so La just had her second child, so she'll be back with us eventually if they are not screaming in the background or anything. But she said that she wishes that Zagitova had gone to Orser because we've always said that she has better jump technique to begin with, and she thinks that she has more aesthetic potential. And I thought that was interesting. So, good point, La, that she does...
Yeah.
She does have more athletic jumps that use more of her upper and lower body, but I noticed with Zagitova that she's grown taller, she's more womanly, and the technique is good. It's still working, but every landing, it looked like she was on the edge of either fighting being under-rotated, or fighting losing the edge. In the short, 2 out of the 3, if you look at the double axel and the flip, they were like wide swinging free legs going on in both, especially the axel. And the judges gave her Olympic champion marks, but things that were +4 maybe should have been +2, or things.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Almost all of the judges did.
Yeah.
Enter our friend from Canada who was having none of it. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Like those PCS marks. I mean, mind you, arguably, I understand them.
Yes.
But compared to everyone else's bump, she was definitely not getting any of those.
So
and a lot of her
GOEs
were
she got in the 9.3, 9.2, 9.1. And then, I'm guessing the Canadian judge was the 8.5, 8.25, 8.5.
Mm-hmm. She was like Judge 4. She was like right in the middle there. It's very clear. It was very clear that someone was trying to send some sort of message.
So in isolation, I agree with those marks for her.
From the Canadian judge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Granted, in the field, you're watching it all day. Maybe and because she looks the best, she looks the most confident. But these programs themselves, if you take away the jumps, and it's hard to take away the triple Lutz, triple loop, and knowing that she's the Olympic champion, and she's got a beautiful face, and, like the Sasha Cohen,
And she is, when I saw her in France last year, she's very fast.
Yes.
But it looked like there were some other pretty quick girls here also. Like Mariah looked faster than she's been, so I don't think she was the only fast one. Yeah.
But she does have some of the rocking of the edges going on during the footwork.
And like crossovers even.
Like
There's
Genya
a hunch.
does, the hunched.
Yeah.
But overall, the program is garbage. I mean, it's trite again. It's nothing unique or original.
The short or the long?
Both, dear.
I know.
Both.
I set you up for that. I was ready for you to just say yes.
I'm not so witty tonight, but
okay.
Look, this was... It just wasn't... It was not doing it for me. It was very nice. I don't see her skating moving forward. It's more of the same. To me, it looks like the jumps are here this year. Who knows if they'll be here next year.
See, now I'm gonna say, so she has gone through a change.
Yeah.
And as we saw Medvedeva start to grapple with last season amidst the injury, but also things were starting to change and the technique was clearly a little needed to change and she was trying to figure it out. I don't know. I think Zagitova is doing a very admirable job of negotiating it.
She's negotiating it, but look, who knows? Well, in another year, will she get taller? I'm not sure. I really don't.
I just think the jumps could seem much more wonky than they do.
The jumps are not as high as they could be. I'll put it that way. These are not unikim jumps going on here. And I think that they could be. She seems quite athletic and has a nice rotation.
And there's a big spot in the Carmen. She could totally, every other
Oh
skater
my God,
totally
the Carmen is such garbage, okay?
But she doesn't take a smoking break. And I appreciate that as just an athlete. Excuse me, I am not an athlete.
As an artist.
I appreciate her athleticism in that moment because I was like, that's where everyone else would literally stand still and do something dramatic to catch their breath. And she is flying through it. She is relentless in her.
I just don't see any of the character, and there's no real unique choreography other than the ending pose where she goes like this. But to me, it's like a 5-year-old skating to Carmen. I mean, look.
The double axel is well placed. I will say that that's a nice thing I can say about
But look, if you're doing Carmen, we want the Oksana Bayul energy, that Sasha Cohen bitchiness going on. I mean, it is your moment to be a diva. Raw, yes.
Raw. Because sometimes you get some girls being like overly cutesy and flirty, and it's more of a raw, earthy kind of sexuality, and I think she is capable of doing it.
I've liked very few Carmens, but that's not because I don't like Carmen. It's because we just see it. It's easy music to skate to, but it's often not done well.
It would certainly not be something a young girl should have the life experience to kind of
never liked Mariah's
that kind
Carmen.
Of character.
Didn't care for it. I just thought it just wasn't.
Who's Carmen?
Mariah's.
Oh.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. Some people liked it, but no, never did. Not my thing.
But it was an epidemic because, like, I mean, Linda, Freddie Eddie back in the day was also skating to Carmen, but to me, really, Carmen surfaced in '88.
Yeah.
Is when we really got it. And I just even remember when Debbie Thomas was like, my Carmen doesn't die at the end. And I'm like, I know, but Carmen does die at the end. So what are you talking about? Instead, she just died in the beginning on that second triple dome.
I was going to say Debbie sure died in Calgary. I don't know what you're talking
about.
But, yeah. Overall, there could be the Carmen could be a lot better.
Yeah.
But it's fine. If she lands the jumps, I think she looks like she'll eke out the Grand Prix final win. If she can hang on to Worlds, I think she'll win that.
But it's not a sure thing. There's no clear...
Yeah.
Even at the Junior Grand Prix, when we did the recap of it, you were like, she's winning the gold. I mean, that kind of certainty is gone, but I think she's very much in the running, for sure. Yeah.
I really did call her winning the Olympics, by the way. Just would like to pat myself on the back.
Just Miss Cleo over here. Okay.
I forgot about that. Sometimes I forget. We talk about a lot of skating. So there was a Celine Dion back-to-back moment that happened with Mariah Bell and Loena Hendricks. And let's start with Loena. Her choreographer is that very cute... I don't know what.
He leans in. I'm like, who?
Adam Solya. He dances a lot on. He's much in the way that you would want a European, obscure European choreographer to be.
Anguished. Okay.
So the Celine Dion was a good choice of music for Loena. It had about 17 music edits. So. And
do you remember those old CD compilations and then the yellow titles would go scrolling down the screen?
Yes.
Like it was like watching that. Yeah.
So there were about 17 music edits and 17 crescendos that were going on, and it didn't make sense lyrically, musically, performance-wise. It was just flailing to Celine. So the concept was there. He also choreographs for Tuktamisheva. Just facts, I'm just pointing out. Anyway, so the concept was there, but we need to, massage it with her. There was no Karen Kadavi Nuda. There were nights of endless pleasure. She knew how to really hit the spread eagle.
That moment,
The moment. I mean, we could really copy this much better. I wasn't sure that he was copying Karen's program during this. So
funnily enough, yeah.
And I think that would have been more successful here.
Speaking of Calgary, it's a Calgary theme today.
So I felt like, what I like about Loena is that they look to outside influences. You could tell they're trying to add what the Russians do with the arms. And then, they're trying things with her, but it's not always refined. I don't know how
because
refined the coach is. She's clearly very athletic. There's potential here,
And excuse my ignorance, but do she and her brother, do they train in Belgium?
They do. I think the brother is done. He looks like he's very happy.
Okay.
He's found love, and we have not seen him on the ice. He was originally listed for the Grand Prix, but he looked like he was in wedded bliss over the summer. So I don't know.
So he's in a different chapter at the moment.
Yeah.
Because what it seems like is, in a nice way, they're almost isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a school. I don't see an approach of technique, of programming. And so it's always a little bit like, what's your deal? What's happening over here? And she was one where you'd look and she'd be like, she was going to do fine, but this was the first time that I was like, oh, she's kind of making her presence known, even in her deportment. Mm-hmm. The back and the kind of confidence, especially in the short program, she was emitting. We could do something
with this,
I was like, there's something here. Whereas before, I might have just been like, oh, well, she's lucky she skates for Belgium, and I'm sure she'll get a lot of opportunities, and she'll do fine by them.
Yeah.
But here, I was like, oh, that's kind of a way to make a statement.
Yeah, I'm just going through my notes. There were the number of the music edits. I wrote that she has a lovely quality, and then I just kept writing about I just kept writing about the music edits and how bad I thought that it was. It just really, I was like, so many edits, what?
Yeah.
I said obscure Euro tack. There's a slight Euro tackiness to it, but it's fine. It works.
Yeah, there's a place for that.
Yeah.
Because actually that kind of thing is not as evident right now as it used to be in those earlier European competitions. So it's kind of it's a nice change of pace. And even though we saw 2 Celine Dion programs, which are obviously dated, it was kind of but no one's been doing that. And
but
especially
Celine
Mariah
fit
clearly
both of them. It fit both of their charismas and their personality and their character. Now, Mai Mihara. So lovely, pleasant. I wrote down, as always,
more of the same.
Skating to the mission again. Doris Day.
Again, that was a unique choice to bring that back.
She looks like she's a big fan of Alyssa Sisney, even in the dresses. They're very similar. I think they should just use that winter into spring music that Alyssa used in 2011, if that's what they keep going after, because the mission is more dated and more overused to me. I would think that could be that could work for her. I think that Mai Mihara is someone who, how June's personality has come out more when he has been in Toronto, and his, North Americans are more facially open and they're just less reserved. I would be curious to see what kind of an impact that would be if she spent 6 months training here. Like Lucinda or even if the coach came, but just around the other skaters, what that would do to her personality on the ice. She has a real pleasant personality. You could tell she's got a nice energy, a sweetness to her that comes out, but it's not projecting. And if she wants to get the higher marks, because she's got the edge quality and she has some nice...
And projection is a huge part of that component score. And the jumping is interesting. The programs are always respectable, even if it may not be what I would have chosen. There's quality thought that has gone into it. So then if we had to think of other people that kind of fell into this category, Maria Sotskova comes to mind. But even Maria is... I think the complaint is it's a bit of a sleepy kind of lack of projection, where Mai is pleasant.
Yes.
It's just not popping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what you do about that. You keep your consistent triples.
Look, this is her year. I wrote down that this is her moment. People seem in flux, and she has the consistency. So if she can do her job, this is the year that she sneaks in, goes to 4 continents and worlds, or maybe the final or something like that. This is her year. It is in flux. You go and you get that 3rd spot. You skate like the wind, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't miss your triple cell at the end of your free skate, and you will get there.
And you're right there.
Yeah, but I'm getting...
Which makes me...
It needs more punch.
More sad because, like you're saying, there's a chance for someone to sneak in right now in Japan. Mm-hmm. And damn it, Marin.
We'll get to her.
Why can't it be you?
My daughter, we're having problems. Okay. We're having problems. And unlike Phil Hirsch, I'm not blaming Marin's. Phil Hirsch had such a beautiful way of saying that not only are Jenya and Marin like really adapting to new techniques, they're adapting to new culture. And I was like, oh yes, Phil, but Marin had this same problem in Japan. So we just...
And you're talking, it may be a different culture within the rink, but rink culture is
sometimes Phil
unifying.
Brings his elitism, and it sounds so beautiful when he starts like adding in about, when he gets really kind of like snotty about the music or the writers or something. But in this case, I was like, I think there's more going on. So, Mariah Bell, 4th place here. Short program was a real moment for her. They've made the jumps a little bit smaller. They seem more successful for her. Adam Rapon choreographed the short. Curious to end with the step sequence. I thought if you're going to end with a step sequence, I think it needs more speed and more oomph to it. There are certain skaters like a Shoma or a Daisuke that could end with a step sequence. I'm not sure that Mariah Bell is that girl, but it was at least different.
She should end with a spin because I got to tell you, her spins looked great.
Except for, so here's the thing that she really annoys me with the Adea skates because Mariah Bell could be getting on the fact that she has a nice line and carriage and Nancy Kerrigan type quality to her, right? Like, she's not the best jumper, she's not the best skater, she's not the best spinner, but she's got a nice overall...
It's just always lovely to see her. There's an air of loveliness about her skating that may not always be super memorable or of the highest quality, but is always interesting.
Yes. So, the day after the short, I was talking to a couple people, and there were even people that have worked with the ISU and the USFS were saying, the USFS the judges would love to promote her as the national champion because she's got the personality. She's got, there's a lot of charm to her.
Great qualities.
She has that innate camera ready, cover girl ready kind of quality to her that Brady doesn't have.
Earnestly kind.
Earnestly
personable.
Fun. But she does lack the mental fortitude that Brady has. Right. And I think that's at the end of the day, we don't expect her to... We kind of expected the long to go as it did here, even after the successful short. She's skating with her hair down. A lot of girls will tell you that that's like very distracting and for a skater to do. It's much harder than it looks. It just looks, when you can do it, you're very cool on the tour. Because you've made it. That's...
Okay.
I think that, the thing that annoys me about this is that Mariah Bell needs to be accentuating her lines. And she changed to the piano skates, and with the angle of the boot, it's like if you put the most glorious ballet dancer and you just squared off the line at the end and you just cut off the natural extension and line, and it dulls it.
Which she does have,
So when Megan Duhamel wears Adea skates, and no offense to Megan, but she doesn't have the Russian ballet lines going on.
That's
here.
not her selling point.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The limb isn't exactly where you would like it from the extension from the hip and everything. And Mariah Bell has more of that going on. She's got more of the kind of Nancy look. Like it's put together and packaged in such a way that she really has the overall patina of, a nice princess. The Adeas really detract from it. I was noticing it in the spin in the short, especially when the flying spin, because when she goes to put her leg in the attitude position and it's supposed to be bent upward with come to a point, it's just kind of like dulled off, and you're like, what could be a really stunning position is just kind of like flat,
a lost opportunity,
and it just looks kind of pedestrian. Sasha Cohen looked like this, and that's what Mariah Bell should be going for if she wants to get those points, and it just looks juvenile. It looks like she's the girl that she's, we're getting 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's just like we get better, but
it's kind of this, proverbial kind of spiral. And I'm intrigued because I don't understand Roth's commitment there, and the jumps in the they look like it's always kind of a gamble. Like,
But
I
she's
don't really
always had that.
understand
She's
what the
really
plan
tall.
is.
The limbs
Yeah.
to get in. It looks like confidence is really key for her. I'd be
They're
very-
like clumsy landings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when she really had the confidence when she first went to Roth, and she looked like she had something to prove after Corey Aid and everything, it
Yeah.
looked like she was on a mission. If she can get on that mission again this season, which it looks like she's on a good path, I think she could get there. The Rafael Salchow is really a strange one for me with that entrance, and it's kind of quick. But I think overall, she just has to nail it. And the mistakes really got away from her. But we know that she can deliver, so...
And it's interesting because I think judges are ready for her to do that. Even at that Skate America, they'll give it to her, but she has to do it.
She has to do it.
It's not like when you were talking about Megan, she had to do it over and over again in that Elvis Stoico where she just had to do it so they couldn't not give it to her.
Yeah.
But Mariah, they're ready to help her.
Yes.
If she would let them. Yeah.
She's got all the things that you look for, except for the consistency and the that competitive bitchiness.
That short program score was quite high.
Yeah. Quite high.
I'd have to check higher than Brady, I think. I mean, higher than
I believe
anyone else.
right in the range, and of Medvedeva and Brady at the they were 79 and they were 70 and 69. Here she was 70. Look, she is right in there if she can do it, and it showed that. But the free skate also showed why it doesn't happen more often. That they would give her like a 71 or something. So.
Right.
But perhaps now Ralph will give her more attention here, because I would be pretty annoyed at Marin Honda at this point. Here is a skater who...
But wait, hold on. But just really quick before we leave, because now, I thought her double axel looked safer to me.
Mariah Bell's?
Yeah. Did you
okay.
find... Sometimes, just in general, I just don't know what's coming. And and just several of the double axel moments throughout this competition for her, I was like, oh... That looks better.
They've made the jump smaller, a concerted effort, and it seems that they're less wild, I think, overall.
Okay.
But, the triple Lutz, Euler, supposed to be a triple Salchow, double Salchow. The triple flip was shaky, the triple Lutz with a fall. They need to get forward. I also think that with Mariah Bell, the minimalistic free skate it's fine on her and it works, but I think that she has more heart and more charisma, that I would give her something with more melody in the free skate rather than what she's skating.
I think she needs a vocalist. She responded well to the Celine.
Yeah, and she did well with Chicago and well with even East of Eden. I just feel like there's something... She has more like positive good vibes with Mariah Bell, and she can have that flirty kind of sophistication, and she's older now, and it doesn't have to be little girlish for any mean. I just felt like this minimalist theme for her, it's fine, but it's not as good as it could be. She has a lot of pop to her, and she's a little bit of a showgirl, a little bit of show pony. Like there's more.
Well, because she has these moments, but the momentum has never lined up.
Yeah.
Also, like she's always kind of in the conversation. Mm-hmm. When really, I think she could be much more in the conversation always, and maybe she doesn't even realize that or something.
Yeah. She's kind of like that really pretty girl next door who you're waiting to have like a bam moment, like to come out.
And she doesn't even know she's pretty. Yeah.
Also, just before we get to our problem child, Ashley Lynn, I thought that there's something to work with there. The legs are bent on all of the jumps. The bent knees really need to work, but and the tights over the skates were again like looking very juniorish with the dress that was a little bit freaky. But if we could put her in enough dance class and ballet, Pilates, eccentrics, work on the air position and the choreography, she's someone that maybe the USFS should look at, because there's something there. There's kind of
a quality,
a potential,
a base level. Yeah.
I mean, the levels were not there in the short. A lot of level 2s, but the components were in the low 6s. But I think that there's something there. There's a raw ability that could be developed. So I would at least look at.
Develop it.
Yeah.
Easy. Just go do that. Yeah.
Well, at least it wasn't like, oh my God, did you see that jump technique? It looks like, look, we need to straighten out the legs. We need to get John Nix on her.
Polishing. Yeah.
So Marin Honda.
I know.
Adios mio. Okay.
I was like, no, I don't think she skated to that. Is that what it was called?
So the short program dress is entirely the wrong color. I don't know what we were doing. It looks like when Yuka Sato skated in the Riders' Championship one year, it looked like she borrowed that dress. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I know exactly the dress you're referring to.
I was like, yeah. So it looks like Marin has become more of a woman and just like doubts her timing a little bit. But honestly, Jonathan, this looks to be a complete training and issue. And it looks like we've heard that she's lazy, and it really looks like she needs someone to just force her to skate these programs at 100% speed every day and do sections and maybe do double and really spend her time on her spins, because everything just looks like she's letting it happen loosey-goosey in the body. Her spins, which she could be getting Sotoko points left and right, are like, we're waiting to see if she's going to get the required numbers of...
The long is beautiful. And again, I do believe that they would give her the world in components if, again, she let them. Yeah. There is such an inherent, more than anyone there.
In the world, perhaps. You
know? Just her opening edges and a move of an arm, which is why, I mean, now,
her flip and her lutz are always going to be a little scary. That's just kind of...
Yeah. And often I'm like having to check, like, because I get taken, I sit back and I start to take in her skating, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, with her I have to be paying more attention to her feet, because she's probably going to mess up some jump somehow, and I'm going to have to figure out what went wrong, like, because the programs are so delightful. And you know, last year we knew it was too soon, probably, to try for her to make a run.
It was especially too soon because she wasn't mature enough to attack the training with the zeal. Had she put in the required amount of Michelle Kwan effort, she would have gotten there.
I know. Because people want her to do, and she started off the way
Corey Sakamoto. Like, they could have sent Marin, but she didn't put in the work. Right. You could tell that if she had the Sotoko work ethic, she would be the #1 skater in the world.
But this is the thing, like, Sotoko has that work ethic because she doesn't, in some ways...
So does Marin not have the work ethic because she's lazy, or does she not believe she can get there? Does she have doubt? Like, something is getting in the way that they need to figure out. And if you need to have a meeting with her after, and really, I really believe this, is that they have to have a sit down with her, with the parents, with, you know, the federation, and because the federation is not high on her because of these kind of things. And you have to look at it and be like, all right, do you want to do this? Do you want to be a champion? Do you want to be a successful star skater and really do this? Because you have everything. But let's not waste our time here. Because if this, you should never be 6th place at Nebelhorn. Behind Americans, we didn't even know who they were, you know, before this event. The double axel triple toe with the under rotation, the triple flip under rotated with the double toe. I mean, it's just...
See, I didn't remember so many under rotations and kind of close calls like that. I knew she would like double or flake and just kind of...
The double loose was, come on. Yeah. I mean, she's just lost the timing. And it just looks like, honestly, the on-ice effort. I mean, are we just walking through the motions in the training? Or are we really training? And is Roth making you do the programs and do them with the spins, with the footwork? Because it's a new world. You cannot get by without doing.
But I could see Roth being like one of those coaches that's like, you don't want to do it? Fine, don't do it. Fine. If that's your choice, I guess that's the choice you're making. And then would let a Nebelhorn happen, because he'd be like, well, she didn't train. You know what I mean? It's kind of what he would say about Ashley. Like, he fought her so hard, and then he'd be like, well, she's going to do what she's going to do. And it's sad, with great talent like Marin's comes great responsibility. But when everything, this is all assumption, when you are as natural a talent as that, you probably never had to work as hard as anybody else.
No, and now she does, you know, and
now it's time to do that, and but everything has come so easily. I am assuming
she got the V on the spin. I mean, come on, that is just. Yeah. I mean, John,
She could be that Jason Brown type that's actually going for this new +5 GOE to help her.
So she may never beat Zagitova, with Zagitova getting the Olympic champion marks, right? Like, that's going to be hard to beat. Right. But she could be getting the Satoko points everywhere and at least be putting in a silver here.
But having they earned those points.
Yes.
Zagitova was skating like that for years first. Yes. And Satoko had many years where...
And Marin did have good years as a junior, but it's a senior. You're more mature now. You need to skate with more speed. You need to have more strength. The off-ice, we need more effort. She just needs to give it, like, a higher percentage of effort, and she would be the best. They could work on the leg position on the jumps, especially when it gets really high when she does a double. But you can tell that she does still have it, right? Like, it's not
and
too
there's
far
still a
off,
youthful quality to it. And her when she's actually skating the program, there is a commitment to the program, which to me is different than the Beetle Eyes.
Yes.
This isn't someone who is finished. This is someone who might just need to be motivated to rev up.
And it would be interesting to know what works for her, in terms of motivation and what's going to get the
because
performance.
Is it the competitors? Is it proving something? Is it not really having a goal? I can't figure.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have.
Obviously, there's a lot of expectations and buzz about her because of how good she is, and maybe that's overwhelming. But at the same time, she's capable. Look, she won the World Juniors and came back the second year and got the silver, and many people felt that maybe she should have had the gold if components were scored differently or something like that. Right. This, you need to really look at and be like, okay, what is going to get you to that level again? Because she has it. But when you watch her do the shows in Japan and she's making mistakes and then the spins look rough, and these should be opportunities where she's really going out to nail it. It would be...
To train, yeah.
If she trained for a year, just committed to one season to really go all out and do it the way Ashley said that she did it the year of Swan Lake when she was going to win the Nationals or quit. If Marin did that, she would have the result. She would really... She has the overall
But like you were saying with Ashley, there was such a singular driving force.
Yes.
And I don't know how you teach motivation because she's young.
But when you get past the hump, like, so when you start to give the effort, the training does get easier in a way because you get in better shape, and then everything starts to, the stuff that seems so hard,
it would yield
easy.
Results.
Yeah.
And I would think those results would be encouragement enough to continue that process. Yeah. But I don't know.
Then it doesn't feel like you're climbing up the hill so hard,
Right.
And
right.
So, but this should be a huge wake up call. Like, I would have a huge come to Jesus moment, and not just a screaming, like a real, like, what is going to work? What is going to get you on the page? Do you believe in this?
Even in my head last year, I thought, this Olympic cycle just like hit Marin a year or so too soon. Mm-hmm. But of course, given that mentality, she's not really proving that was the case. Because I thought kind of this season could have really been.
Mia Hamada, I would have been like, okay, I could have both kids on the Olympic team. Let's go. And let's attack this, right. And I don't know that was there. Yeah. And now we're seeing you with Ruff, and it's still the same, and it looks like it's gotten worse. So, and there are other people.
Yeah, not in a situation like where we're talking about with Chris and Alexa or Zhenya and Brian, where it's like, let's give it time. Yeah. Let's see the process through. This is kind of like same old stories. So
yes, this is getting worse. You're Nicole Bobecking your talent away right now. So but she at least looks like she knows the choreography. But I'm talking about you have that level of talent.
Understand. Yeah.
Look, Nicole could get by putting in a couple triple toes. Marin Honda can't do that. She has to do...
Right.
You think Nicole could do spins with levels in it? I mean, come on.
Right. Exactly.
If she had to train it, so... It's Christopher Bowman and Frank fighting at those worlds. She can't make up that.
It's absolutely true, yeah. Exactly.
So, on a more positive note, let's talk about your ice dance team. Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, because Poirier, or however she says her name, she will kill us if we do not talk about ice dance. And I have quite extensive notes about them. So, Piper and Paul. Jonathan, I love the tango of the short dance.
I loved it also.
I think it's strongest talent. So, I feel like we are seeing 3 teams so far this season that are kind of evenly matched and have come up. So Hubble and Donahue and Piper and Paul have both risen at the same time. And then Weaver and Poge sticking around, and they're all in the
mix,
same mix with one another. And I feel like they're all kind of even-ish, but I
was most taken with Piper and Paul's short dance, though. I think it's the most effective of the ones we have seen.
They use the fact that we know that she has problems with the posture, and she has problems with her leg, that she can't straighten her leg, or there's just physically how she's built. I felt that they used the choreography really well with the character of how the leg movements with the tango, and I forget what it's called, with the kicks, the little kicks in the tango, but they do it in such a way. They have a pretty decent pattern. It's not the strongest part of the program, but they skate in really close hold with one another, which is really impressive.
I'd be curious, like, when you see those short dances and seeing the patterns live changes everything for me, because you also see, like, when Zach and Madison did their short dance at Nationals last year, the amount of ice coverage they would take up, and like these sweeping edges, you were like, now I really am getting why their pattern is so much better than anyone else's. I would be intrigued to see Piper and Paul's pattern in person when put up against the others. But they live in this world of Latin dance vocabulary, I think, more and in a more authentic way. When their free dance was a tango, it was so much more authentically tango. Like, I felt like they went to every tango on the floor kind of class. And it was not a skating tango. It was like a tango.
She does the character well. Her dress is the perfect color with the red accents. It's gorgeous.
Incredible.
And it all matters. It's ice dance. The packaging.
Well, but they're creating beautiful pictures together, and the twizzles and great score. Great score.
And an interesting look. She did stumble on the last pose, but the poses are cool. The pictures are great, and it's intricate and it's different. And I think that the short is so successful for me. I know that they've talked about the free dance a lot, but for me, the short dance is really the one that I'm excited about.
That hit in a big way. Yeah, the short, now with the free dance, there's someone, they know they're not gonna get what they want in the results by doing what everyone else is doing. They're not going to go out and do their Papadakis and Cizeron kind of like lilty lyrical thing.
Yeah.
They're going to be angular, they're going to be intense, they're going to be cool. But like when Moskvina would do that with her people, you know, when we saw Mishki Chanok and Dmitriev like in 1994, those moves had been honed. So every cool, funky lift, exit, and all that stuff, you were all about it. But plenty of times, like, she would try stuff and you're like, that's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, I guess, like, you thought that was cool, you came out with that, but, like, what's the point of that? And a little bit, it's how I felt about this particular free dance for them. Like, even the opening with, like, her upside down on his back and that kind of stuff, I was like, they're cool ideas. Cool. Awesome for trying. I don't know that it worked. I don't know that it's doing exactly what you want. Now, I could just be not patient enough. It's very early. Maybe
they're about 70 cool ideas for the free skate of
and they didn't get to do their Olympic free skate that often because they changed it at the last minute. This is in a rare instance where I wish they almost had kept it.
So to me, it seems like they had the concept before they had the music, because they asked people to do a cover of this song so that it would match the beat, and they wanted to do a tribute to Starry Night. I wonder if they saw that Vincent movie over the summer. Like, I wonder why they got the idea to do like a Starry Night theme. To me, it almost has like a La La Land kind of like thing to it without
it wasn't really what I still love their Hitchcock program.
Yeah, that was the best.
But they edgy, and this was unique, but it lacked a little bit of that edge. I
felt like this was so Canadian. It reminded me of when Tessa and Scott did that tribute to the band last year in the exhibition, and it just was kind of like for everyone who wasn't Canadian. To me, there's just something about this Starry Night. It starts on like a sleepy vibe.
And a sleepy vibe while she's doing something outrageously acrobatic that it looks like you and your friend are coming up with on the fly at a homecoming dance at high school. You're like,
I just think when you start the program of 4 minutes with a sleepy vibe, it gets long, and there are lovely moments.
But it's monochromatic. It's
very monochromatic.
It's all the same, yeah.
And it the piece sounds like you would put it 2/3 of the way through a film to show time elapsing. You would put it in the middle of Boyhood to show them growing up from year to year. It would be it's the scene in Marley and Me when the dog goes from a puppy to full grown. I mean, that is the
montage.
That's the montage thing that you're getting here. It's just that kind of music. It's not, to me, winning music. It's a nice, pleasant theme that you could say, oh, that could be 4th place. Like, it was nice. It was just nice. There was
need their Paul and Isabelle Duchesnay to bring it back to Calgary. I need their jungle moment. I need something that goes viral. Yeah. That is something that is so out there that it actually transcends skating. Mm-hmm. And I think they could get outside people really into something that they do.
Paul has a really cool moment at the end of this with an edge that it's a really sexy edge that goes at the end of this program. But the music is not really highlighting it. And her dress also could be a deeper color. But there's...
He had a John Curry kind of aesthetic and these big old school edges to it. I think I have always been interested in them as a team. Yeah. And judges, even in Canada, they were really giving them that edge.
So I think that they will be the number 1 team because Weaver and Poget... Okay. So I was going to ask you, of the 3 free dances we've seen now from these teams, which one do you like the best?
It's tough for me because I'm thinking, now that we have seen all 3, I think all 3 are going back to the drawing board.
Okay.
In some way, I think.
I think Weaver and Poget have the best theme going on.
I think it's certainly the most ready now.
Yeah.
I think if you literally put these 3 up,
but I don't think Weaver and Poget have the elements or the brute skating to get it
or the growth within that. I don't see how they will enhance it between now and Worlds. Mm-hmm. Whereas I know Piper and Paul, and I hope Zach and Maddie make the adjustments they need to. Mm-hmm. And then it will be a totally different story once those adjustments are made. Yeah. But for the short dances, it's no question. My leaps and bounds above everyone else is Piper and Paul. Whether the judges go as far as that, I don't know. But I hope so. I hope that they do.
Yeah. So, and then I thought, I find it really strange. So the Parsons... So, again, to me, the issue with the Parsons is not that they're brother and sister. They don't look very alike for being siblings. So they can kind of get around if you don't know that they're siblings. It's not like they don't have the ick factor.
They don't look like twins.
Yeah, Maya and Alex, especially when they were younger, really did look like twins.
Paul and Isabel, kind of, even in their brute sexuality, there was I feel like you guys are related. Yeah. Your coloring is the same.
So I'm just always distracted that even if they weren't siblings, she's way tall for him as an ice dance team, and they can't really take advantage of as many things, and their skating doesn't always match. I thought that so they have a nice skating quality, but then
especially, I think he's very talented,
and she has a nice thing to her too. It's just their partnering is off, and it's kind of. So I feel bad because I feel like we say this every time we talk about them, that the partnering is off, but the way I was thinking of it, it's like we keep kicking the can down the road, we know that they're not right for each other, but we're just forcing it down the road anyway, when they could be more successful with other people. He's a little bit short, perhaps, so that's a problem. But
yeah, and they're both engaging energy in these sorts of things, but it was one of those
need to go to a show or get new partners because they're not.
They did so well as juniors, but somehow you knew
it was dead end.
It wasn't going to transition well.
Yeah.
But the depth in ice dance is too great for them to kind of push through, I think. And then when a junior team like Igor's comes along, you're like, well, no, kind of that's clearly the trajectory of the future.
And then their camp has always had packaging problems. But the biggest thing is when you take... Look, the French are iconic. And the French tried to move towards the avant-garde with the To Build a Home, and they had those pictures that they created to do the exact same music. Or it was Papadakis and Cizeron. I just thought that is such a mistake.
Well, why invite the comparison? I don't know.
I mean, look, it's nice. Yeah. I could get going for the theme, but when you pick the same music, to me, I was like, oh dear, I'm just making a bad comparison. It just...
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's laughable, but it's laughable. Like, it's just... They're not like I'm laughing at their team, but it's like, really, you think that you're going to compare with what the French did to this piece of music? Right. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you really kidding me here? Like, what are the people thinking that are...
Well, it just kind of helps them languish even more in that kind of obscure level of like, oh, see, this is what they're trying to do to be a top team, and now we see the reasons they aren't.
And then, like, so these aren't the only siblings that the Maryland Russians have. Like, they have the Elders, they've got the Greens, they've got, like, all these teams, but then the teams don't seem well matched and they're not going anywhere. They just have like 20 of them.
Are they just, I mean, back
they're making money, clearly.
In one of the conversations about pairs, we were, someone was citing that its parents are the biggest problem. So I don't know, do they think they've figured out the golden formula because they're just coaching all these people with the same parents?
Look, they're winning at novice, they're winning at intermediate, but they haven't gotten to the senior, the point where it's not working out yet.
Right.
And then, will that change things? I'm not sure. They brought in Greg Zerline, but at what point is it going to be like, this isn't working? At the same instance, Carrera and Ponomarenko, there are some first-year senior growing pains here. They both have a lot of talent. She has a wonderful upper body, and just look to her. He looks like he could be good, but I want Charlie White to like coach him every day and be pushing him in the ring to develop so much more. He has a strong upper body, and he has decent knees and edges, but they're just not developed. Like, he could be really good, but he looks like he was someone that rested on talent and a name, and he could be really, really good. But it's not enough, is what I just was looking. I was like, okay, they have a really nice pattern, and they have nice lines and extension in the tango, but then it randomly goes into Maria de Buenos Aires for no reason. The twizzles were unacceptably, not good enough. It needs more speed and power everywhere, and it just looked like it wasn't ready for senior to me.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's like you watch closely those transitions, and you understand when everyone, the transition is hard. And then, of course, not for Zagitova, not for any of the Russian girls, not for a lot of the Japanese girls, some, but not all. I just never understood, because, again, we always heard hype around this team, or at least I always knew I was supposed to tune in as this was like a hyped up team. And I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to trust that they're seeing something I don't understand. Because I don't understand it. I don't have to understand it, but I don't get it yet.
Yeah. So elsewhere around the world, Papadakis and Cizeron got a great score at the French Masters, and we couldn't see it.
What was that? Yeah, I was like, there was something about a warm-up that like we could kind of see some things.
But they blocked it from being shown. Why would you block the only team from being shown? Is that a Marie France thing? Is that a France thing? I don't look.
But didn't they do this last season?
Did they? I forget. I think so.
I think it was just as shrouded in mystery, the French Open. I bet DDA lets them keep a total cap on it, because we missed their premiere of the programs at the French Open last year too, I think.
Yeah, I remember when I went to visit them, I had taped their program, but I wasn't allowed to show it. Like, it was just all sorts of
hush. Yeah.
So, all right, whatever. The other dance teams
I'm sure it was lovely.
Sure, it was great. I love that picture of them. It's very triangular. I loved it. I'm into that pose. I'm interested to see how they will do with the pattern, because it's a deep tango pattern, deep edges, and that's not always their forte, but I'm curious.
Well, it can be.
It could develop them. So I'm curious to see what way it goes this season.
And in the current field, they may just have to do enough.
Yeah. They even missed a lot of the summer training, but they were still in shape and doing shows, and just they just had to throw this together, and I think they will have a strong energy the second half of the season because they can't be burnt out because they took their time to get ready for this season. So they have, so Junior Grand Prix, Ting, I don't know how to pronounce
Great short program.
Great short
program. Now they were saying like an X sound, like shui or something in Ostrava. Okay. That's how they were announcing it. Because CUI, like I know that like some Russian composers that have that kind of last name, but I am unsure. I'm sure we will now get.
So is she getting lost in the fact that it's like a factory at the World Arena now because they have this whole new school and they've got like 4 Koreans who can all do triple axels, apparently.
But it's clear she has like her stretch in the arm and the
which she's always had. She's always had the talent, but not the execution. And it's getting better, but in the free here, she was really standing up and then falling backwards on the on the flip and the Lutz, and the tilt was off. And she, as soon as she's won, where if there's one mistake, there's 50. And it was so funny, but I don't know if Drew, I don't know the skating order, but it was funny that Drew was in the kiss and cry for the Korean girl and not for her. And it was just a little.
Well, because they put the Korean girl on right after her.
Okay.
I think is what it happened, because even like Tom saw her right afterwards and like gave her like a quick this and then ran to put the Korean skip.
So then that's more of a factory kind of thing.
Kind of. I mean, yeah. I mean, the qualities that one saw, one was excited by. But she's another one. There tends to be a bit of momentum and a bit of hype that happens, and then kind of a crash.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that develops. I mean, they're kids. They're figuring it out.
So one parent does say that the World Arena is so crowded that they can never skate their programs at full power, so that when they do skate at full power in competition, it's then like a mismatch because they haven't practiced necessarily at that speed. So, Rika Kihiro, we saw the video because her parents bought the entire ice sheet when she was there from Japan, like when she goes to the World Arena. So that's
what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's interesting how the long programs aren't always the most successful. Yelim Kim is really so she's done senior Bs and junior competitions, and she's been successful. It's interesting to see they're going for all of the ISU points for her. Korea is really making a push for.
They have a plan, and it is coming to fruition right about now.
Yeah, like if you notice, they have all the juniors coming up, and in the senior Bs that we're not seeing from Japan. Like Japan has their girls who were coming up the last few years, but there seems
that
to
we
be...
already knew about.
So I'm curious if there's like another crop below these in Japan that are coming up that we just don't know yet. Around the Sarah Honda. I don't know. But it's interesting. This year and last year, there haven't seemed to be that many successful juniors in Japan that we know about. So maybe at the novice ranks, there have to be. Look, when you have that many successful...
Well, Rika was still a junior last year.
Yeah, but I mean, besides her,
we don't know like
her,
the young junior. Yeah.
They haven't had the young ones. They've had a lot of like, who? Oh. And then they haven't made an impact.
Right.
And I know that Mia Hamada has a number of young skaters that we don't know about yet. So I'll be curious to see all across
But it's a real lesson in whatever is happening in Korea is clearly, they have a big picture plan, and to see it really kind of lining up. It
would have been perfect if they got that Grand Prix and they didn't get it for whatever reason because their ice was booked or something. But they do have a plan
because they opted for it instead of Finland.
They were offered it before Finland. So
they were offered it before Finland. Okay.
So you can tell that there's a plan in Korea that's moving along. So.
It's a building.
Yeah. And Ensu should be the first alternate. So if Karen Chen pulls out of an event, either Grand Prix or someone pulls out, she is like right next to on the points list. So she should be, but no one has pulled out yet. So it's kind of dicey for getting that second Grand Prix. So
where is Gracie supposedly going?
Russia. And we hear that she's still going as of now. So
best of luck.
Yeah. So curious to see what moves forward. But Coaster Naya had a problem on the flip at the very end and a waxel, but look, she still was first.
Who cares? Well, she cares. My gosh, does she care? But she was all rattled before she even started the program. That's why I was like, I didn't know. I didn't see the warm-up She must have been having some struggles on the warm-up or something, but it was clearly an emotional competition for her. And I mean, I hate to sound cliche, but like her skating transcends those mistakes, you know.
And the music edits, Jonathan. The music edits are terrible in Romeo and Juliet, but it's still a lovely quality.
She's so good, I forgive it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. There's.
But can she please stretch that leg on the flip, on the takeoff? It's just so...
Yeah, something's a little and the entrance to it is so difficult. Like, you're just like, what are you doing? Like, maybe set yourself up for more success somehow.
And the placement seems really strange in the free skate, at least from the camera angle here.
Well, you mean the placement with the music, or the placement of the actual, like...
The placement
feet?
of the jump and the pattern of where it is on the rink was just a really random kind of like, are we two-thirds, like, by the hockey box?
Was like, this will be a great place to have a moment. Yeah, okay.
It was weird. The flip that she fell on was strange, and it looked rushed all the way through. So it didn't look set up well for success, so... Yeah, it was...
Gosh, to me, she is just like a breath of fresh air. Now, speaking of sometimes this like overdone pantomime-y, sign languagey kind of thing, I meant to say with Piper and Paul, in the free dance, there's a moment when they talk about like, I'm going to make it up, blowing in the wind, or there's like something about the wind or the breeze or something. And he just does one big, beautiful open turn with his leg. That you're like, that's them acknowledging this kind of concept in the lyrics. They, you know, whereas I feel like some of these other like choreographers would have someone being like, like,
don't
like
give Danny G any ideas.
Then now they're gonna create the blowing sounds in the music. But I just think that girl, I could just watch her skate all day, even if she's devastated afterwards, which broke my heart because I just want her to have a great time.
And Camden was set up. So this is
That was tough.
Hopefully they'll address whatever happened, you know, and because he's someone, obviously, you know, competitively, you know, this was a setup for him to win, and it was a mistake, and then hopefully moving forward.
It was this couple, yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of what happened last time.
Yeah.
He's been fortunate in these fields, because you may think just looking at results that.
So he needs to be good. He needs to be good. Junior Grand Prix final, which is a ways away. Nationals.
Yeah.
Junior
That's
Worlds.
Again just what blows my mind.
Yeah.
The amount, especially in these women, the amount of
time that they have,
the level of skating that they're at right now, and then to basically just sit still and now just wait. Yeah.
2 months. You know.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can come down before they rev back up. Because it's a long time to stay up at this point. So
and like things in Russia will inevitably start to shift. You know, at that rink, you know, everyone's got to focus on the 8 million amazing seniors they're going to put on the ice in the Grand Prix. So
so it'll be curious to see, kind of. But that was a.
Now, what's the deal with the guy they send to the juniors? Not Danny
Sergei
G.
Dudakov. He's the technician. You know, he's
we don't hear so much about him.
He doesn't seem to have the charisma. He's not the star. You know, he's the worker man.
He's not the face, but he may be a lot of the substance.
Yes.
You know, like Atiri, like Nina, like, you know, a lot of these people.
Atiri's just checking off your jumps or something they show. But sometimes they all sit next to each other, so maybe he's doing some of the more jump. It would be interesting to really see.
Yeah, because I can't imagine, given even her background, that somehow she's the one providing all of this technical genius. I mean, it's clearly coming from other places in the rink.
He does look kind of like a Russian factory worker, doesn't he? Like, he really does look like...
It's an unexpected potential technical guru for figure skating. It's not what I would have guessed seeing him on, like, the streets of Moscow.
There's like a film character there that he is. That it's a little surprising. But...
He's a restaurant owner in like Brighton Beach on a Law and Order SVU episode or something.
Really is.
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious. Just there seems to was it ever announced that Tim Delansky left the Canes? Because like had been rumored, and he's officially listed as Daniil Barentsev is now his coach.
Oh, okay.
So that
he was still hanging with Krasnozhan and like all that kind of stuff.
So Krasnozhan left the Canes, and then Delansky left the Canes, and he's just being coached by and this guy was kind of like the technician at the cane camp. So there has been like drama in the cane camp over the summer, but it hasn't. Remember Krasnozhan had that weird message when he left the canes. It was like a little more revealing than skaters usually are when they
Oh,
leave.
no, I missed this entirely. I don't...
Yeah, Krasnozhan like left and you could tell like he was not on the
Was
the greatest
unhappy
of
about
terms.
it.
Yeah, like he was leaving.
Okay.
But interesting about Krasnozhan, again, it looks like he's still injured, but he was 5 points behind Delensky in components. Like, so we've talked about his components for a while, and the judges are really starting to nail him, especially in the senior level. Like, there's just...
Yeah, I think at the senior level, that like things that flew previously are out the window,
Like,
for sure.
Delensky got a 72 in the free, he got a 67. Like, it was just not flying.
And Tim's shortcomings really didn't have to do with his components per se.
No, so Tim did
other than the reputation.
Tim had no triple axles here, and usually he would at least do the triple axles and no quad. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that all of the training he does for the upper body isn't helping his rotational speed. So
Well, remember when you had Max on, Max was talking about how he became accidentally too built one summer because the trainer was so excited by what he was able to do, and then he went back to the rink and they were like, whoa, what are you doing?
So Tim looks like he's got an addiction to working out, the way I have an addiction to doing like power walking. Like he looks like he's got like...
I have a very addictive personality. Unfortunately, it just has nothing to do with like self-betterment and exercise. But it's such a V compared to what we see as really working for like these super quad jumpers, is this no hip, lanky kind of thing.
Yeah. So,
but you would have thought that the upper body would have at least helped with the axle.
Somewhat, but maybe he's over. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know because we didn't see it.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Also, we did see a cool combination here from Artur Dmitriev with the triple Lutz that he landed on the opposite foot. People get mad when you say the wrong foot. So,
yeah,
he lands...
although there used to, I think there used to be an ISU rule for a brief period of time because, we all know about Jill Trenery doing that ridiculous combo. But then for a while it went away, and I think it was they made a rule about you landing for a while on a particular foot.
So there is no way my brain could ever... If I learned a triple Lutz for so many years, my brain would just not do this. Like, I'm just not the one who would be able to try this and without screwing up my other jump. Or like
and it would look like it would really hurt when that didn't go well. It's a cool thing, but it looks awkward.
Well, his jump landings have always looked awkward. Even his landings are bad. He doesn't bend the knee enough. They're very Maria Butrskaya. He's kind of like his father, where he should have done pairs, but he lacks the charisma and showmanship of his father, and he just looks kind of stiff, like taller and stiffer. But the combination is cool, and he'll get a lot of attention for it, and he'll get some points.
I was just
going
to say it's making us talk about him, and I would never have taken, if we're being honest, I never would have taken the time to.
He always just looked like a lesser Mishin skater that you just kind of forgot about, but he's hung on.
Yeah, like you were literally watching only because of the name.
Yeah.
And now because of the combo. So more power to you. You did something that has everyone talking about you for the moment. But I don't think he's in any danger of making a mainstay on a podium.
I mean, he doesn't do it in the long, and he made too many mistakes that he lost to Majurov, who did not have a great skate in the long. It was just kind of that. But one thing I was saying is that I was thinking is that Keegan Messing has really made a career. Look, he was someone who was like in the first group or second group of skaters in the U.S. and was completely overshadowed, and has really like willed himself into being a pleasant top Canadian.
He found his voice, if you will, and. Did it have to be the Chaplin voice twice? I don't know, but
he does have that Scott Hamilton like light comedy,
he's a
showman Javier kind of like thing going on, and they're just gonna stay in that vein. Hoping
it emanates, and you have to watch, even though he has some great qualities in the spins and some when he lands those quads, they're real fun. But
the axle's scary, but he landed it. Yeah,
wild, but you're going to be entertained.
Yeah.
And there's something to that.
He's a little like too square shaped that the jumps kind of get a little strange, but it works. I mean, it's funny, you can see on his twizzles, it's just like such a boxy body going around. It looks like really strange, but he is becoming a really pleasant skater, and I think he and Nam will probably battle it out for the Canadian title, even though they have some other men who could potentially step up, like a Roman Sadovsky or something like that. I think that it will be Keegan. So he's kind of like, this is his moment to kind of win. So,
and I hope he has it. He's earned it, I believe. You know what I mean? We've seen him try, and we've seen him work year after year and just kind of make that steady improvement.
He kind of has that. He reminds me of Megan Duhamel. Like, they forced it to happen. They didn't have all of the stuff that you would, and they forced it to happen through grit. And I kind of respect that. So
absolutely, yeah. It's literally the opposite of Marin.
Yes.
So we see the reverse at work, but probably because every step of the way, I feel like he had to work very hard to get every element as he learned it.
Yeah. So. Well, overall, what was your moment of the week, Jonathan? I
really liked Piper and Paul's short dance. So it's very and their twizzles in the free dance were very cool. Like how the tall Russians have their sit spin ones. These were almost like layback ones.
Yeah.
That was a real moment for me. And even though she was like troubled, just to see Kosternaya skate, I just really enjoy it. I just really like her skating. So I guess those two.
I'd have to go with Mariah Bell's short, and because you took Piper and Paul's short, but I think that those were kind of the two moments for me. I thought that it was really exciting and great to see. Then Zagitova really deliver. That
and
was
Alexa
exciting.
and Chris for trying.
Yes.
In the short, for trying something totally different.
Yeah.
Snaps to you. It takes courage to. They could have just quit.
Yeah.
Or they could have just kept doing the same old thing like we see so many other people doing. But they're trying something. So.
And then Aliona went out there with like no training and looked so strong. But then they did fall in a throw. So that was like they were human.
And she apologized to Benoit about it on social media. It was pretty funny.
I was she could really compete next year. Like, are they going to train and compete? Like, and coach? Like, what is she going to do?
Well,
like,
I have like.
You better get her pregnant if Alexa wants to win. I mean, come on. Like, she needs to coach her. Okay.
Okay.
He needs to stop drawing and get Aliona pregnant.
Exactly.
Goodness, Although if she did come back, I would applaud it. So.
Yeah, absolutely, I would. She's incredible. She's incredible.
So yes. So as always, we want to remind you to hold an edge. And look sexy like Paul Poirier this week, because he really was doing that blowing in the wind, kicking, doing it all around for us. So.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.